Today we are going to be making a clay bear. Our bear is going to be inspired by the bear in Big Bear Hug. And we are going to practice using many different clay techniques like making pinch pots, creating spheres, slabs, and coils. And the biggest and most important part today is making sure that we attach things properly so that they stay on and they don't fall off. Today you're going to get 2 pieces of clay, and we want to start by dividing our clay so we have enough for all the parts. Take your biggest piece of clay and set that onto the pinch pot circle. We're going to use this big piece for our pinch pot. That's going to become kind of our head and our body. We're going to use an upside down pinch pot. And then you're going to take this piece of clay and we're going to go ahead and divide it to have enough pieces for all the other parts. So take your clay. The easiest way to kind of separate it is to twist to kind of tear it apart. So go ahead and take your second piece of clay and tear it into 2 pieces. Take one of those pieces and just set it down here by where it says coils. Take this piece and again kind of twist and tear it in half. Set one of those pieces down on the sphere that has a little heart on it. Take what you have left and tear that in half. Set one of those pieces on the spot that says ears. And then this part we don't really want to tear in half. You're going to tear off kind of just a smaller piece. That's going to be for your nose, and this piece will be for our snout. So go ahead and get all of your pieces set down. We can come back to this big piece down here, and you do need 2 arms. So we'll go ahead and take this piece and tear it in half. So we have one piece for each arm. We're going to start by making the pinch pot, which is going to be our head and our body. So I'm going to take this big piece and slide this kind of a little bit out of my way. If you remember from kindergarten, a pinch pot starts out as a ball. So take that piece of clay, kind of tap it, roll it just a little bit. And then we are ready to start. Hold that clay in your hand. Take your thumb. We don't want to go thumbprint first. We want to put that thumbnail in there, and you're really going to have to use some muscle to get that thumb way down deep in there, but you don't want to go through, you don't want a hole. Once your thumb is in, you're going to flatten those fingers. We want that little baby gator, chomp, chomp, chomp. We're going to pinch, kind of chomp down just a little bit, and then this extra hand just turns the ball so we can pinch somewhere else. So pinch and turn, pinch and turn. Pinch and turn. Mine's cracking a little bit. That's okay, I can go back and fix that. You're going to keep on pinching and turning. Once that hole gets big enough, you can put both thumbs inside and do 2 baby gators at once. So pinching and turning. Keep on doing that until your pinch pot gets nice and big. You don't want it to be too big or too thin because then it will kind of fall apart when you go to turn it upside down. But you also don't want to leave too much clay stuck in the bottom or the sides. The bigger it is, the bigger space you have to work on. And again, if you get little cracks and things, you can always smooth them back together, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. So keep on pinching and turning until you get a good sized pinch pot. And when you think it looks pretty good, you're going to take that pinch pot and you're going to set it upside down on the head and body spot. Next, we're going to take all the ones that say sphere. So these 2 say sphere, this one says sphere, and this one says sphere. And a sphere is like a 3D form. It's a circle that's in a 3D form. So you're going to take all of those 4 pieces and roll them into little spheres in your hands. So go ahead and do that, and then just set them back down where they belong. If you look at the ears, you notice a little line down the middle. This sphere we're going to cut in half, and it's going to become our 2 ears. You're gonna take a popsicle stick and you're gonna kind of just hold it over your sphere in the middle and kind of just push down to just slice that sphere into two kind of semicircles. And then those are done. You're just gonna leave those right there. Next, you see that this says sphere to slab. A slab is a flattened piece of clay. We do want to press these down flat, but we don't want really thin pancakes. Those tend to break. So I'm going to move kind of these out of my way, and I'm going to take the palm of my hand and I'm going to gently kind of put it over that clay and smush it down just a little bit to flatten it out. This is going to become this part of our bear right there. This sphere is going to become the slab where we're going to cut a shape out that our bear is going to be hugging. So we do want to take this and again use the palm of your hand. We don't want to smash it, but kind of just gently smush it down to make it flatter. And then we'll just kind of leave that just sitting right there. For this last part, the coils, you want to do this part on your table. It's very hard to roll it in this tiny space on your paper. So you can kind of slide the paper up out of your way. And a coil is just kind of like a snake or a rope. It's a rolled out piece of clay. So I like to take my piece and I kind of squish it into like a little hot dog shape first, or a little pickle. And I don't want to make these arms really long and skinny. Those tend to break. So I'm just going to roll it a few times from kind of my fingertips to my palm. And they should be about as long as what you see here. If it gets a little bit flat, give it a little pinch, and you can roll just a little bit more. And again, they shouldn't be super skinny, about this long. So squish it and roll. Now that we have all of our pieces, we have our pinch pot, which is going to become our head and our body. We have this sphere that's been cut in half. That's going to be our ears, our nose, our snout, and also the item that our bear is hugging, and our bear's arms. We have to start to attach them. If you just take your clay and you stick it on, it'll stick today because there's still water in the clay. But when that water evaporates and dries out, your pieces will just fall right back off. So we have to scratch and attach, or score and slip. Now this part I don't want you doing with me. This part you're going to watch, and then once I'm finished, you will start attaching your pieces. So no one should be doing this part with me. You are simply watching. The most important thing is that when you go to put pieces of clay together, you have to score, which means scratch, and you add slip, which is kind of like watered down clay. I'm gonna scratch the piece that I'm putting on, and I have to scratch where it's going. That's gonna make the surface a little bit rougher, and it's gonna make sure that they stay together. You're gonna have a little toothbrush for this, and there's a little heart on the back. Put your finger on that heart, hold the piece you're putting on, give it a little scratch, scratch, scratch to kind of roughen up that surface. I don't want to scratch the whole pinch pot. I'm just scratching kind of where that ear is going to go. So I scratch both the piece and where it's going, and then I put those two pieces together. I'm going to push down kind of gently for now, and I'm going to work on attaching the other one. So again, I scratch what's going to be touching the pinch pot, put my finger on the back of that heart. It's going to get a little messy, and that's okay. Scratch, 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 scratch where it's going, attach. Now, once you have things kind of scratched and attached, if you don't like how small they are, once they're attached, you can kind of go back and use your finger to kind of reshape or pinch it a little bit thinner. The goal is just to kind of get it attached really well to start. So I've kind of gone back and kind of pinched it a little bit to make them a little bit larger, but just making sure I'm pushing them down. And again, your hands are going to be messy. That's part of clay. So I'm kind of going back and just kind of attaching things really, really well and changing that shape once I've got them on there. And you can always take your finger and kind of smooth out those cracks too. The ears are attached, so now I'm going to move to the next part. I'm going to attach the snout. So kind of this bigger slab. Again, I scratch what's going to be touching my pinch pot. So I'm going to scratch the back of this. Scratch, scratch, scratch. I'm going to scratch where it's going. So I wouldn't put it too low, maybe kind of more in the middle. Scratch, scratch, scratch. I got some dripping, slip, and that's okay. And then scratches go to scratches. I kind of have my finger on the inside of my pinch pot, so I'm not smushing it, and I just simply push it so that it stays. Kind of looks a little bit like a pig right now, but we're gonna make it look more like a bear. Even though the nose is tiny, I'm gonna attach it. I don't wanna put it in the middle, I kind of wanna put it up high. I'm gonna tap it a little bit on the table to flatten out the bottom. And then again, score, which means to scratch. Scratch where it's going, and stick it on. I'm gonna take my arms. They're gonna be attached here at the side. So I really only need to scratch this top part where they're gonna be touching the pinch pot, but I'm gonna go ahead and scratch and attach those. The really nice thing with clay is that you can also kind of blend and smudge two pieces together. So I can kind of take my thumb and drag my fingers over these parts to really kind of almost erase, and you can't really tell that the arm wasn't part of it. If you feel like your arms are a little bit too long, we can always trim them off, but I find it easier to attach them first, and then you can kind of go back and make them a little bit smaller if it feels like they're too long. But it is going to be hugging something in a minute, so I might wait till the end for trimming them. It's time to make the item that my bear is going to be hugging. So you're going to choose the shape that you like best. You're going to take that little kind of cookie cutter and you're going to press it down into the slab that you flattened earlier. This is just extra clay that you can give back to me. And then just kind of push your finger in to pop that shape out carefully. And then you're going to attach that kind of either to your arm, or some kids kind of attach it to their face because their bear's kind of hugging it, but you got to scratch and attach. Once you have everything properly attached, then it's all about details. I can go back with my pencil and I can push in some little spots here. I kind of push it in for the eye and I kind of gently wiggle it around to make that hole a little bit bigger for the eye. Do the same thing on this side, kind of wiggle that little hole around. You can go back with your pencil and kind of draw a little mouth coming down from the nose. If you want to, you could even take your pencil and kind of just gently kind of press in some little like kind of claws or kind of paw prints, and then kind of just get it set up for how you want it to look when it's all the way dry and done. Some kids even add things like eyebrows. That part's really up to you. Once you have your bear assembled, then we'll put it on the tray that has the names on it up front, and we'll be ready to hopefully glaze them next week.